Hi there, welcome to the latest news on the Noah Presgrove case. Today marks the 1 year anniversary of Noah's death. Today we're focusing in on new videos by the sister Madison Rawlings where she speaks about that and also the ongoing situations online. Two videos, I'm going to be analysing both. One of which I'm going to play right now, and supposedly it was done yesterday because Fox News, the date of it is the 3rd of September. So let me play that to you first. Make sure to listen in. It's quite interesting. You can check for body language as well if you want to, and we'll go from there.
You kind of get to wondering like how much longer. And with that, it's when or if it will come together. And we all are so hopeful, and we know that someone knows something has to happen. I mean, I've always just thought, I hope that he went fast, that I hope that he wasn't in pain, and I hope it wasn't someone he loved. So that's about the only things that I hope about his last moments, is that he wasn't in pain and it wasn't by someone who he deeply loved. But we don't really know that. I think our sympathy for those people has kind of left. I think that we are so tired and fed up with all of this already. And I get a year is a long time, a year is a short time too. Does it make sense? Like, I know you can look at a year two different ways, but I know our sympathy for whoever knows something, it's non-existent. They've had plenty of time, and I don't know if they're scared or they feel like they're getting away with it, whichever way they look at it. But man, I wish that they would talk now, because if we have to catch you people should realize that our family has worked this hard to find them, that imagine having to push for them to get the punishment they deserve. So I hope that they hurry up and talk. I just hope that it would get over. I pray every day that the Lord will just reveal something to our law enforcement, to us, that we can put this behind us and we can work towards a new goal.
Although that was just a small clip, it was kind of interesting. No direct language used, but implying that what's happened isn't normal. Someone or some people are responsible, and it's just a matter of time before the truth comes out, or we've got to get it out of people in some way, and for the justice to take control. So let me know what you think about it. I'm going to add my thoughts on in just a second, but for those watching this live premiere, welcome. Share your thoughts in the live chat on the right hand side of the screen where the chat box is. And if you want to comment at the end of this video, and if you are catching up, let me know all your thoughts down below under the video in the comment section. You'll also find a pinned comment by me with additional links if you want to support this channel. And if you want to catch up on recent videos by me, top right corner of the screen where the I symbol is, click up there. You'll be able to find the full playlist and the previous video. First, what I want to acknowledge from that little short video, what Madison Rawlings had to say. No direct language used in terms of key names of people, but just a general theme of the acknowledgement that what's happened to Noah, the circumstances, isn't exactly normal. Something's definitely going on, and the indirect reference to people out there or a person that could know something, and how much longer will it take, but still the sense of hope that justice will come at the end of the day and people may well pay for what they've done or what they know of. So that's kind of interesting, that maybe other people have seen videos of Madison or Ashley and other family members giving their thoughts on what could have happened, how they feel about it. But I came late to the case, so I might not be quite familiar with all the other videos in the past, but still it's refreshing to see it from a different perspective this time for me, myself, which is the sister, because recently we've seen from Robyn, the aunt, and Ashley Chadwick, the cousin, this time the sister. And as for the second video where it goes into the issues online and everything, which is a lot deeper with interesting points made, I'm not going to play that video because I've already got the notes, summarized down, and I'll just relay it to you, but also add on with key counterpoints or just an analysis because it's needed at this time, okay? But what I wanted to comment on, because maybe some of the people may pick up on it, and it's just about damage limitation at a time like this. I know most of the people that watch my videos can control themselves, but if you do get some passerbys who are quite passionate about the case or on a certain page, they may interpret Ashley's short video there in a negative way. And let me just explain. So towards the end of the video, she kind of started laughing with a big smile on her face, and people could misinterpret that and think, why is the sister smiling and laughing the day before the 1-year anniversary? The situation's not funny. This is not a laughing matter. This is very serious. But, and it's not like full on in defense of Madison Rawlings, but just being realistic, people do react in different ways in different situations. Sometimes people may laugh as a coping mechanism. Some people may laugh because it's a nervous laughter. They don't know how else to react and might feel a little bit uncomfortable, such as with an interview or with the theme and what's coming up, what's on their mind in the background, what's being talked about. I get it. Some people do laugh at sad times. It's like when you've got a funeral, some people may laugh, not because they find the situation truly funny, but they just don't know how else to react. Everyone's different and people react different. Just like when it comes to the grieving process, some people may break down and others hold it together and have quite a straight face, but maybe inside they feel different. And some may hold it together up until a point where they can let go and open up, such as once closure has been brought. We've seen it with the Dylan Rounds case. We saw it with the parents there. People were quite critical of the parents on and off when it came to certain body language and behaviour. And whilst I did my own analysis of it, I did try and give a full perspective over time as to why they're not showing emotion and how they could be holding it back and why it's necessary for them to do so. At least one person holds it together, which then helps everybody else around to be able to maintain that focus and push forwards, even though it'll be quite emotional for them. So you can argue and say you don't need to look too deep into the laughing and behaviour by the sister Madison Rawlings. I mean, those who could be very sceptical and already be suspicious of certain people, maybe they won't see it the way I'm describing in this video, but I just wanted to bring it up first and foremost because that'll be the first thing on people's minds, the last part of that video clip, what you just saw. You can rewind this video back if you want to check it out again, the little video. It is by Fox News, so credit to them. No article, no transcript, just a 1-minute 59-second video or so, which is interesting because no questions asked, no news introduction. It's just a random video posted there by Fox. So I'm guessing it was recorded yesterday. I mean, it was posted yesterday, taking in mind the time zone difference as well between US and UK. But yeah, I said language, not truly direct, but it was interesting how Madison was hoping that when it came to Noah's death, it wasn't painful, painless, or not as painful as much. And, you know, who knows, the cause of death not truly defined, not officially confirmed at this point, even though so much time has passed by. But you can understand why Madison Rawlings would hope for a painless death because of the extreme damage caused on Noah and the injuries. You know, when you think about it, the bones, the neck broken, scrapes, any cuts or bruises, teeth, some knocked out, the scalp torn off. It's quite extreme, and the vertebrae in the back as well broke. It's not good. I mean, we've asked the question in the past, what caused what and how? Was it a chain reaction of damage to the body, or was it one after the other separately by different people and maybe different items, objects, blunt force injury, blunt items, bat, a pipe, things like that? you know, as bad as the outcome is for Noah, basically what Madison is kind of getting at, not what she says, but I'm just interpreting it, that whatever happened to Noah, hoping that the first blow or attack or damage was instant, fatal, enough to kill him on the spot or render him unconscious. So then any other damage that was sustained afterwards, a beat down, a kick, a hit, a strike, whatever, Noah was already out of it, not aware. You know, kind of like that. Instead of having to be alive for 15, 20 minutes getting attacked, that's much worse. So it's pretty simple, that. Interesting how Madison was also saying how she hopes it wasn't someone Noah loved. That clearly indicates the possibility why it might have happened, and the feeling of not wanting it to be true because Noah would feel betrayed in the moment. But that's the thing. If Noah was attacked, and attacked by a loved one, so a friend, or more so a best friend, which would be Jack Newton. I'm not saying that Jack Newton is 100% responsible, but he is supposedly 100% the best friend in terms of friendship status. It's not confirmed that Noah was aware in the moment. What I'm getting at is, if Noah was attacked, killed on the spot, was it an ambush, a cheap shot? Was it face-to-face confrontational? Because if someone took him out round the back, even Noah wouldn't know himself in the moment. So he wouldn't get that closure either, which is a bit messed up. But then at the same time, maybe it's best not knowing, because it would feel even worse that your best friend or a friend, someone connected to you, a loved one, was responsible. I know people can talk about the afterlife and people looking down and then learning about what happened, but we're just talking about life itself, not beyond. So we're not too sure if, on the basis of Noah was attacked, whether it was confrontational or like a cheap shot, blindsided, out of nowhere, to the point where Noah may have not had any chance to react or defend himself, or maybe even lock eyes onto the attacker, the possible attacker, or attackers, more than one. So there's that to take in consideration. Now, if there's any points, details I missed out on from that short video, you can leave your thoughts down below in the comments section. What I do want to do now is move on to the next video, which has come about in recent time. It's a couple of days ago now when it was actually done. And it was in response to the situation with Robyn and Ashley when they were on the Justice page, and then with Justin Roy, the comments there, some people being blocked, some people being supposedly silenced or kicked, and then the backlash after that. Like, what happened? What caused what first? And I can kind of question it as we go along, so make sure to stick about. If you do want to rewind back, you can do, to the start of this. So Madison Rawlings, first thing that she mentioned was that she appreciates the people fighting for Noah, but that also applies to all family members in consensus, that all the family members appreciate people's love and support towards Noah, but also fighting for Noah. So it's quite a general, vague term, but that would imply that anyone and everyone out there that either makes videos, talks about it, leaves comments, messages online, maybe in real life, handing out information, leaflets, anything like that that can help spread awareness and keep the case alive, Madison appreciates, but also the whole family, which is obviously a positive thing, isn't it? But there might be some within the community that may not feel that same love given back in terms of how they feel like they've been treated. And I guess an example would be Justin Roy with what's gone on recently. Now, if there are negative comments at times, and it is addressed to an extent by Madison just in a bit when she goes on in a video, but there were negative comments out there by certain said individuals, and then posts were taken down afterwards. were those individuals given the same heat and verbal response back as Justin Roy received when Justin just simply asked a question on a page, which was welcomed as for asking questions? I mean, I'm not saying Justin Roy is 100% an angel, 100% innocent. I'm being realistic from my experience, from my encounters. Justin Roy is a good individual, has been helpful, has been respectful, has been understanding, has been patient, good individual. I just wanted to make that very clear, because I know in the past, when I've mentioned a negative about someone and then a positive, people only listen to the first half, not the second part, and then just go off on one. Just wanted to make that very clear. I said, my analysis of people can't be fully complete because I've only seen so much of people and I've not been around long enough. And with what may or may not be going on in the background could differ to my experiences. That's all I'm saying. But I do feel that maybe Justin Roy in recent time may have got called out more than the likes of other people out there that directly created posts and comments in a much more negative, harmful way. So what I'm getting at is Justin Roy, bit too full on because of being passionate and caring, which is a positive, but maybe to some people in the background, it's a bit too much at times. You know, it's like a balancing act. So you've got someone who's very passionate and, you know, quite all in, and then someone else out there that is invested in the case, interested, but they start critiquing the family. I mean, who deserves more criticism, Justin Roy or those that leave negative comments? Seems pretty obvious, doesn't it? But as said, if you don't have the full picture, as for the background stuff, the chaos and the hell, who knows? This is a work in progress as you go along and learn about people's behaviour, attitudes from all sides with the different events that come and go. As said, it will be very interesting to see what happens after the 1 year anniversary when the dust settles down a little bit. And it gets just a tiny bit easier when you get past that 1 year obstacle and barrier. And then beyond that, it gets a tiny bit easier. And that's just based off from experience when we've seen other cases, right? Because with other cases like the Dylan Round situation, the parents, how they went through the motions there, didn't always show like the breaking down and the crying and the tears, held it back, but maybe expressed it outwards in the background privately, which is understandable. But the general public didn't see it that way, some of which for, oh, no emotion because they're responsible, but that wasn't the case. It can go off on one. People can focus too deep into just one individual. But I think when you look back, the Rounds family held it together quite well considering everything. And with getting through those anniversaries or the first birthday or the first Christmas, as bad as it was for them, you could see just a little bit of improvement in terms of their outlook, how they spoke, referring back to things, talking about it, a bit more confident with wording and language and not as upset, still saddened of course, but just a step closer in progression, not just for the justice part or the closure, but themselves, how they present themselves, how they go about, how they handle the situations. Everyone's different at different times, might take longer for some, shorter for others, but I just wanted to add it in, fill it in as a bit of backstory behind why I talk the way I do and pick up on stuff, because it happened in the past, it was necessary, and it was of great use. So you can apply it here, as well as a form of damage limitation, because sometimes people may go all in on one side and others fall on the other. But you need some people in between, and that's not sitting on the fence, but you can be in the middle and look at it left and right and vice versa. Anyway, where are we? Let's just roll it back to what Madison Rawlings was actually talking about. So family appreciation, and in quotes, some of it's in quotes. Madison Rawlings said, a lot of people were asked to step back to cool off. That's interesting now. No names mentioned, but it's kind of obvious. I guess it's referring to Justin Roy. It was either Robyn or Ashley in recent time on Facebook, as we saw in that post, responding to Justin or other people saying, we told Justin in the past time and time again to back off, to cool off, heart in the right place, but a bit too full on. And other people in the background have told him to back away too. Now, for Justin Roy, it's come off as a surprise because of what's being said about him in the moment. It's like a shock to him. He doesn't know what's going on, at least with what he's aware of. But nevertheless, what I find interesting with what Madison Rawlings mentions is the term, a lot of people were asked to step back. So it's not just Justin Roy who is classified as a problem. It's other people told to step back. Now, who has stepped back? Jan Friorillo, she stepped back, basically. Justin Roy, he's been told to step back. And people have said in defence of Justin that Justin has gone quieter with time on the army page. And we're not talking about just recently, but back then, went quieter. People picked up on it. Maybe indirectly that's what's happened. Who else has stepped back? Maybe some creators on YouTube when it comes to covering this case. And as well, partners in true crime. They've taken a step back, a public break. Still doing things in the background, verifying material evidence. Okay, but still, you see that pattern of people stepping down or stepping back, and it just so happens that Madison Rawlings said a lot of people were asked to step back, to cool off. So is what Madison Rawlings referring to there links to the names what I've just mentioned to you now? Makes you think. It all comes down to the role, the position you are within a case. If you're a YouTuber or a TikToker, you're retelling the story, maybe a bit of a narration, make it a bit interesting with music and the visuals, like how some of the bigger YouTube channels do so. Just put a case out there for people to learn, put it on the map, get new people in. Oh, that's perfectly fine. And then piss off and then do another video about a completely different case. Yeah, people come and go. They're not around long enough to be told to step back. Then, the factor of sticking around long enough, there's a high chance that you may be told to step away, depending how full on you are with the case and exactly what you're covering and what you're doing. If you're here to spread awareness, to keep something alive, to use correct wording and language, with theories, fairy, do you want a fairy cake? Fairy? No, theory. Yeah, I'll talk in American accent. Welcome, Warlike Wrath. Looking at the latest theories to analyze. Let's begin. That's not AI, don't worry. That's just me. Because some little sheets wanted to pick up on that wording. Don't worry, you're not that special. You're not the first, you're not the last to pick up on that wording. I'm aware of those humans in the background. It happened in the past, but of course, if people want to leave those comments, okay, feel free to do so. But if anyone's got a bit of a stiff face or mentality of, well, like, Raf, you're not allowed to do this or say that because it's insulting just because of an accurate accent or wording of stuff, but then they do the same thing. Well, the standards, bit of a hypocrisy there. Anyway, just wanted to throw that in. But referring back to the theories, when it comes to that type of stuff, as long as it's clear and you're not trying to state it as a fact, shouldn't be a problem. Shouldn't really be told to step back or step down. If you had a constant chain, a flow of comments, messages, or videos directed towards the family, taking all that time up and being negative and critical, it's understandable why someone could reach out and say, you need to back off. This is not helping the case. Your videos aren't directly about Noah. It's just about us, and it's not doing us any good either. That situation, can understand. If you're not a YouTuber. You're not doing the media part there. You're not a TikToker, but you might have a page and you leave comments and you spread discussions and you create new discussions. Whilst there's no videos, you can still be vocal in text form. You could distribute, you could pass on info, share your own screenshots and text, what you've had with key people within the case, and that's what the likes of Justin Roy and some others have done, and that's obviously helpful. But you don't have to be a YouTuber or TikToker to be too full on. You can also just be in the area as online on a Facebook page. But I think besides, like a barrage, a witch hunt on a particular person or group, family, where you could get told off, if you had certain information and intel which you were releasing publicly when you're not supposed to, that could be another factor for why you could get pulled up and brought aside, questioned and told to back off. I mean, it's interesting. In terms of the examples of being full on, it would be interesting to know what is defined as full on and what crosses the boundary, stepping over the line, going too far. What would be an example of that? Getting in between the case physically, where it could harm evidence, contaminate it, or scare witnesses off, and then it leads to wasted opportunities. That can be considered full on, but that can occur more so in real life, physically, if you're at the scene, if you're on site. But is there any evidence left physically on site at the scene? You get what I'm saying? The Dylan Rounds case, which was ongoing because it was a buried body and at first treated as a missing person, drawn out, more uncertainty, more questions, physical searches. With Noah, no physical searches because his body was found on the highway, self-explanatory. But with the searches out there, people physically getting involved, people passionate, people getting too full on in encroaching onto private land at times and going where they probably shouldn't, family urging them, you need to step back, you need to stop. Searches continued on against the wishes and against the respect of the family. It got up the backs of Candice Cooley, bit of Justin Rounds too. So physically going out there, possibly accidentally maybe, or intentionally disrupting evidence can harm a case, of course, and the evidence along the way. You mess with that evidence or you mess with a witness, it may not be used in court, which means it makes the case a bit weaker against a person responsible. I get all of that. But is that what's happened within the Noah Presgrove case? Well, there's not been any searches because he's not a missing person, so there wouldn't be implications there. I've not seen any Bullhorn Betty or whoever else protest outside of buildings or anything like that. So what else has happened? What about the claims about Avery and Carter who've been threatened and had their house or property damaged? When? Any examples, any proof? Who was doing that to them? I mean, like with the Jay Slater case, the UK related one in Tenerife, you might be skeptical of the family and the greed with the GoFundMe money. How much more do you need? Why is it still open? And for those that don't understand, you need to look back and do research just in case, because it is deeper than you think. But still, you might be skeptical of certain people and family members or friends of the supposed victim, Jay Slater. But still, you attack them or you push them away, it could harm the case or make it harder for yourself and others to watch along and observe, because you might have scared them off, pushed them away so far they might not return back, or they might not be as vocal publicly online. So that can harm a case or harm people's understandings. We don't have the full context behind all the trouble that has gone on, and there might be a lot of background stuff. I'm just trying to work out what is defined as being too passionate to a point where it could harm the case, and that's why you're told to step down. Has a boundary been crossed? And if people say that towards Justin Roy, I would like to know who those other people are, where Madison said a lot of people were asked to step back. Who are those people? Is it the names what I've listed earlier on? Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Now, adding on from that, problems were arising, what Madison said. What the people that didn't step down were becoming the problem or creating more problems for the family? Or was it separate problems just ongoing, which added to the overall situation? People refusing to step back. So that applies to Justin Roy indirectly, because Justin Roy cares about the case and Noah wants to keep on going. Told to step back may see it as disheartening in a way, but who are those other people that refused to go quiet, to step back? And we're not saying, well, I'm not saying what Madison's getting at here is to step down, never to come back again, but more so just cool off for a bit. Don't be as full on. You can still talk about the case, I guess. You can still look into it, but just take a little step back for a bit whilst things are going on. Who are these other people supposedly refusing to step back to cool off? That's what I want to know. Let me know your thoughts down below behind that. And with all that going on and the refusing of stepping back, it becomes backlash, as Madison said, on the family. And maybe the family take it as an insult because people aren't respecting their wishes. But then you got the general public's perspective that think at times, well, if you tell us to take a step back, to back off, to be silent for a bit, you know, you reached out to us, you reached out to the general public for help in the first place, and now you're throwing it back in our faces. So each side can feel disrespected from one another. A bit of an issue, isn't it? It's kind of problematic, but anyway, this is where it gets interesting. Madison Rawlings said, "We have received hate. We have also received threats." Let's just focus on the hate situation. That's more so by indirectly mentioning the Noah Presgrove Army page, in which, yes, there might be 6,800 members as of the last time I checked a few days ago, but a very small minority of people that supposedly posted some negative or hateful comments criticising the family in terms of not signing a petition or so, or not doing anything for the anniversary publicly, at least. You know, being very critical there. I mean, at the end of the day, those that are considered leaving nasty negative post on the Army page, criticising, attacking the Presgrove family, or at least certain family members like Ashley and Robyn. What is the end goal? What is the purpose behind it? As negative as it could be considered, that act and that type of post, what's the theme? What's the purpose behind it? What will it lead to? Getting justice for Noah, or just people venting, letting steam off because they're frustrated themselves based off how they see, how they feel, their thoughts towards family members? Would it be better for them to keep it to themselves? To say yes could come off as controlling, depending on how people look at it. I'd say just as a whole, if certain actions leads to this outcome, as we've seen, almost like World War III, just ask yourself, is it worth it? Possibly at a time like this, the worst time for it to happen. It is interesting though how it's only going on now, and you could say because it's mainly around the theme of the anniversary, and that's like an indirect factor that has triggered it all, catalyst. But you've had you've had 1 year of these arguments, this escalation to come out, and it's only really heated up now. People have said there's been arguments, there's been conflict. Back then there was attacks and there was threats, but wasn't that more so from those within the case and not so much the community? And now you're seeing the community, a wave of it by the minority. Now, I'm going to be honest, besides the family being attacked and criticised, I have as well, from a minority of people or former people from the Noah Presgrove Army page. We've seen it ourselves, I've shown it to you, and I've seen other comments in the background. I've also been attacked and questioned elsewhere by the small minority on some Reddit pages in the background in the past. I've also been attacked and questioned by the odd YouTuber known as Kaylee and her audience, accusing me of copying their content, and what I do isn't good enough. There's that. And I'm aware that there are a handful of people on my channel that will go over there and watch. Fair enough, you do what you need to do, no pressure. But just understand, when I defend myself, I need to, and it's necessary, because if credibility is damaged, it can have long-term lasting negative effects on the channel, on the individual behind the channel, when possibly covering other cases. I can understand the importance of spreading awareness behind dodgy creators and cancerous ones to prevent further damage in the future. There's a bit of a balancing act, and if one was on the receiving end of that and then got into a fuss about it, could be considered a hypocrite. But it's a good thing that I actually control myself appropriately, so it doesn't actually lead to that. It tends to be more so one-sided. I do what I do, mainly keep my head down, but I'm the one attacked for it. I don't do the attacking. People have considered what I do godlike mode activated overkill. But if people awaken the wrath within, what do you expect? Because I've done my analysis of humans. I've looked at people's playlist, subscription list, people in the Dylan Rounds case pushing the gay theory agenda, just so happened that they were either gay themselves or they were subscribed to an LGBT channel. So it clearly showed that they had an agenda in the first place. So it wasn't exactly natural, it was force-fed. And that's just one of many examples. People who have had obsessions with me, negative and hateful towards me. They've had a playlist on the channel called Addictions or Recovery. Yeah, it says a lot about them. Maybe they're going through a rough time. They're taking it out on me. Does that apply within the Noah Presgrove case of a rough time, bad timing, people taking out on others? Well, that's how it's first interpreted. But with what's been learned with time in a short space, in a way, certain family members may have a right in terms of firing back with how they've been treated by the minority elsewhere, with certain posts being very critical and negative towards the family. I get that. At the end of the day, for most part of it, it doesn't do much good. In this case, that's what's interesting. In this case, the hatred or the negativity towards the family isn't on the same scale as the Dylan Rounds one. The Dylan Rounds one was a lot more intense, and there was a greater focus in which a handful of people truly believed that the parents were responsible for their own son's death, because they were claiming that, their son was gay, so the Mormons or the Bourbon group didn't like that, so they sent Dylan out to be taken out by people in the background, that the family ordered or hired a contract killer. You can see how extreme and ridiculous it got, yet the parents held it together, which is quite surprising. They did well, considering. But in the Noah Presgrove case, at least to my awareness, I've not really seen much negative, hateful comments towards the family. A lot of the passion and focus has been aimed or directed towards the likes of Stevie Howard, Sarah Long, Jack Newton, those within the case, the criticism aimed that way. And then there was a wave of towards Caden Pressey for his interview. People were, having a go at Caden on and off. So that's where the focus was. Now, if people are saying it happened in the background where the family were attacked long before, I wasn't around to see that. The attacks, what I've seen, or the supposed negativity, it's been in more recent time when I've been present myself. But as for those comments on the Army page, they were taken down eventually. In terms of the backstory behind that, I'm not in the position to explain it all. But if any key individuals want to share it from their own experience as a witness, whatever, you can do so down below in the comment section. But it's not really my position or role to be talking about, but the posts were taken down. And I said, when it does come to the negativity side, it tends to be the minority, not the majority. But sometimes the minority can have a louder voice than the majority, so it makes it sound worse than it is. But that's not to downplay the wording or language which was aimed towards the family. But still, I've seen more attacks and more skepticism in the Dylan Rounds case towards the family, and a lot more shocking claims and statements made, and even digging into the family's history and past stuff that's gone on in the past. Claims of abuse, claims of the son being strangled, all kinds of wild things, right? In terms of, Presgrove one, I've not seen any of that, which is a positive. But with each case has different types of people involved who react differently and treat people differently. It's not just all the same people moving from one case to another. So I do understand that certain realities will be different, but it's about trying to understand what came first. Just recently, with Victor Presgrove firing back and saying, anyone a part of the army page, get away from there, it's full of lies. I personally don't think that the army page is full of lies, but the small minority of people that have left negative, hateful comments on the Facebook page aimed towards the family has kind of tarnished the overall reputation of the army page, which is unfortunate. It doesn't give them a good name because of a small selection of people that felt very passionate to air their thoughts and their feelings towards a different group of people, and not the dark force within the case, such as those who could be responsible for Noah's death. It's kind of like a situation where one person acts out and then everybody else is punished for it. So Victor Presgrove responding back and telling people to get away from the page is a direct response from those on the army page that started off by leaving those negative comments towards the family. I can understand that. And then I guess shortly afterwards, so at the same time, Madison Rawlings doing her response video as well. But at least publicly, to my knowledge, what I witnessed, the Robyn and more so Ashley Chadwick situation occurred before those hateful comments. That's what's interesting. In terms of Ashley Chadwick's video from TikTok, she wasn't attacking anyone directly. She was just simply highlighting that us as the family, which sounds like everyone involved, which supposedly isn't the case because names were given as to who's actually approved of the petition, which creates a bit of divide and conflict in a way when you think about it. But nevertheless, at the time when Ashley Chadwick did her TikTok video, just simply saying how we've not signed a petition, we don't approve, we don't condone it, and then by explaining because of the outcome what it would lead to, a slap on the wrist for the party host Avery. Is it guaranteed? Well, other people seem to think it could lead up to 5 years and it wouldn't harm or jeopardise or convolute the case. It would be a separate thing, but it would be a start. Get the people away, get a hold of them, and then maybe look into other leads and question them further. But Ashley Chadwick thinks it's not worth it because it won't lead to much. So why go through it? Why build up the false hope? I guess there's no harm in trying, but maybe Ashley felt it's not worth risking anything. If some people are very sensitive or protective over a case when it is with them because of, connections with family, maybe they want everything to be perfect and they want the best evidence for the best outcome and whatnot. And then those who are away from the case, not a part of it directly, not a part of family or friends, but still want justice, may just be thinking, right, let's just go all in. Anything will do. Bit of a balancing act, isn't there? But there was some skepticism that did certain family members not want to push further regarding certain people? Was there a negative force behind it? Any negative third-party influences? No harm asking, no harm to ask, just a theory, just a suggestion, but clearly some individuals in between Lady Dalton or Karen with the teeth sticking out, with the mouth open, barking at me, and others. Sammy the Seal as well with the default profile picture, ticks the boxes there. Zero contribution, typical. Going on, whinging and whining, and others saying how, you don't know what you're talking about, it's not true. How do you know it's not true? Have you seen the evidence? Skeptical, questioning, appropriate language and wording may yield a result at the end. Debunking or reinforcing, progression made, making it easier for those in the future that come along to catch up quicker than the original people did. You create a pathway along the journey. It's as simple as that. But nevertheless, do we need to focus back on as for the threat situation, we'll get to that in just a second, because that can be its own issues. The hate thing is what we've seen in recent time and the responses by people. But nevertheless, Ashley Chadwick's video, I guess, did garner attention and it created a response within people. And that's when the problem started. Ashley Chadwick's video wasn't directly calling anyone out or being nasty, but people saw her response or attitude as not wanting enough justice, not going in full on when they should. And that's when the attitudes of people telling the family what they should and what they shouldn't be doing. Now, I did my own video looking at the ins and outs of every possibility and perspective as to why they could come across as not being proactive enough, but also why they're being reluctant because they want to be careful or they're thinking long-term ahead as for how it could impact the case or it being a slap on the wrist. So I wasn't all in one-sided, but maybe other people were. So Ashley Chadwick's video response was like a catalyst for causing a wave of backlash from the general public who had a go at certain family members. But really where it did kick off was when Justin Roy left a comment, a question, and that's what caused the backfire of people saying, why are you asking this? You shouldn't be, it's not the right time, or you already know the answers. And then Justin was saying how, well, they said, if you got questions, leave them here. And then that's just where it all kicked off, and some other comments as well. And then the person coming out saying, I was the one that donated the money. And then Robyn Smith saying, well, if you think that we're so ungrateful, you can have the money back then. So that's where it started kicking off. Is it easy to say who's the exact problem? Well, I wouldn't say Ashley Chadwick is the problem, but the video itself may have been misunderstood and what she said may have been interpreted in a negative way, which then gave people some kind of ammunition to throw back at the family. But if you take out Justin Roy's comment, maybe it wouldn't have escalated till this point. So am I saying that Justin Roy is the problem? Well, based off that one first comment made by him, it's not the problem. Is it a problem? Depending how you look at it, indirectly, not intentionally, could be considered as a problem just for kicking it all off. But if you've got a question, a simple question, and it doesn't hurt or harm anyone, then why is it a problem? If you've got further acknowledgement that you can ask questions, then why is it a problem? Maybe then it links back to a more deep-rooted cause of which what Madison Rawlings was getting at was people told to step back, cool off, and then either Robyn or Ashley on Facebook saying, oh, we're dealing with all kind of hell and chaos in the background. So if it's just a matter of a deep-rooted or a long-time thing building up over time in the background, it surfaced the head at the top, ground level to the general public in recent time. It seems like new what's gone on now, first time ever. But if it's been boiling away in the background privately, it's not as fresh. So the one time where a person does leave a comment, That comment itself may not be the be all and end all of the issue or problem, but it's just kind of like a turning point or trigger point. The only example I can give to you, the time when I was falsely accused of being a trafficker and some other people, was at a time in the Dylan Rounds case where an individual called Salty Pancakes, some called a cult-like leader, and manipulation and harassment, not from me, but what other people thought and said, and the co-host Kaylee, people, not me, people saying was just as bad for supporting and enabling things, who knows. But at the time, things were tense. Not with me and Pancakes, but Pancakes and other people. But Salty Pancakes did have an issue with me, just because I looked at certain comments from his channel, or I analysed footage from the past, which I gave credit to him and which he allowed at the time. But things soured quick. And with his own mindset of supposedly having some kind of psychological issues, possibly being paranoid at times, thinking all these cases are cover-ups, thinking that I was Dylan Rounds, a lookalike impersonator, Dylan Rounds, crisis actor or so, psyops, LARPs, whatever that means. Things were getting a bit crazy. So with Salty Pancakes already detesting me, and I suddenly popped on in when he was doing a live stream, and I just simply said hi, not to him, not to the co-host, but to another individual known as the Shack Lady, at a time when they were okay, or somewhat okay, before they changed themselves. I just simply said hi, and Salty Pancakes lost it. He went off on one, he got angry, he was shouting and barking at the screen, salivating as well. Kaylee was giggling in the background too, not exactly being helpful, but when are they? And that's just how things went. So there was already an issue beforehand and with other things going on. A stressful time possibly to them, but unknown to me. So that when I finally left a comment, wrong place, wrong time maybe, and they were already in a mood, it triggered them. Any other time saying hi, they might have just said hi back or just ignored it. So that comment itself by me saying hi, did that warrant me being labelled as a trafficker? No. Was anything warranted for me being labelled as a trafficker? No. But you still kind of get the idea that the comment itself may not directly link and be the be-all and end-all to that response and reaction from people, but it's just a catalyst, a trigger point because of everything else that has built up to a certain point. So like with Justin Roy, a comment which he said, which was just a question, any other time could have been answered or just ignored. But on this occasion, this time round, things started kicking off. But it wasn't immediately with family members, it was with other members of the Justice page. And that's when it started escalating. But I wanted to fill it in with my own encounters from the past and how it can apply here to an extent. I said, we don't have all the backstory. As for the background private stuff, you can only comment and react on what we're aware of and what's within the public eye. And if people in the background did get very frustrated and said, you don't know what you're talking about, or just calls us out, we just simply say, well, if you're that passionate or if you know that well, then just explain it publicly. And if you're not going to reveal it publicly, you can't expect the general public to nod their heads when they've not seen the proof. So, got to be fair in general. But really, the Madison Rawlings video explanation and response, and the Victor Presgrove wave of comments and insults towards Justin Roy and the page as well, the army one, that's mainly because other people fired the first shot, the minority on the army page with certain negative comments. Okay. But the Robyn and Ashley Chadwick situation, which Madison Rawlings started acknowledging within her video, that wasn't caused by Justin Roy, and it wasn't caused by people on Facebook. It was simply Ashley Chadwick doing a video and then followed certain responses by the public. But what I want to know is, if you take one of the elements out, would you have still got the same outcome as what we have right now? So if you take out Justin Round's question and simple comment, if that never happened, never posted, would we be where we are now? If Ashley Chadwick if Ashley Chadwick's video was never posted, would we still be in the situation now? What comes first? And when does it become the main origins of the root of all problems? Directly or indirectly? Maybe you can question that down below in the comments. But let's move on to the threats. Madison Rawlings' Presgrove family have received threats because Noah died. That's basically what Madison was getting at. So to make matters worse, we've already lost a loved one. We've lost a son, or we lost a brother. Noah Presgrove has gone. And on top of that, now we're getting threatened because of his death. How does that make any sense? It doesn't when it's worded like that. But I will make sense of what Madison is getting at, but I need some liquid first because I'm going a little dry. When that term used to be used in the past, it was in other ways, not by me, but other people. They would say, oh, the super chat train or the PayPal's going a little bit dry. What's going on there? We don't get dry, we stay hydrated, all under control. Isn't that right, Watcher Crazy? Becoming a member or rejoining last night. So credit to them. Shout out to anyone recently for their support on this channel, or even in the background as well. But let's return back to the threat situation. Receiving threats from whom? From who exactly? A group, a handful of people from the army page, general public, or those within the case? Well, we've seen it within the case. Those partygoers, witnesses, or family of family, friends of friends, issuing out threatening messages and comments. Yet they've not received the same levels of criticism or attack as others have, which is a little bit questionable. I don't know how true, I don't know how far people would agree, but would anyone possibly suggest that Justin Roy, in terms of on the public surface of what we're all aware of, excluding what's going on in the background, would you say Justin Roy has been attacked more than certain dodgy people within this case who could be responsible for the death of Noah? Or if not that, people who have issued out threats and warnings, have they been under the same scrutiny and questioning as Justin Roy or not? Just let me know, I'm kind of interested. It might differ, but at least to me, I've not really seen the family members speak about the threats and warnings in detail or calling anyone out specifically. But then again, the theme what I've noticed, they don't give direct names, which could be a good thing, and maybe they're being advised to be vague. But then again, when it comes to Justin Roy, direct responses. I don't see the direct responses the same way towards those that have issued out threats. But then again, if the threats are old news, then so will the post. But those comments still about. People like to reshare and repost the negative comments by people within the case or in the community. Do we get to see the side of the responses by those who may be forgiving or calling them out back? That'd be interesting to see. Now, like an example, Brooke Bounds-Carter, not a part of the case directly, not even a partygoer or witness, just a friend to Stevie Howard, and Stevie Howard, the mother to Avery Carter. But once again, Stevie wasn't even there during the party, during the deaths, from the looks of it. So when they talk, they're just passing it on from third-party stuff that they've been told. But nevertheless, Brooke Bounds-Carter decided to take it upon themselves to kind of, in a way, threaten the Presgrove family, saying, anyone in general, keep pushing her cubs, you keep pushing and having a go at Stevie Howard, well, at some point may snap and may reveal things that you don't want to hear about. As for Noah's family, I'm sure Noah's family wouldn't want to know about it either. Why do you say that? And why such a specific threat? the more specific a threat is, the more planned out it is, the more thought out. And if not that, and it's just said in the moment, more specific, slightly higher chances that there might be truth within what's said. Because if it was so reckless and it wasn't meant, you'd be coming out with just a typical regurgitated type of threat. But when it's more refined, it does make you think a little bit more. Now, Brooke Bounds-Carter did dispel it and say, well, it was in the past, it doesn't matter now. And apologies were made to the family, so it's all okay. Really? Just like that, over and done with? What would happen if Justin Roy apologised? Would it be forgotten and forgiven immediately or not? Now, you could say, what does Justin Roy have to apologise for? I'm just giving a scenario. If he did, even if he didn't have to, but if he did, like how Brooke Bounds-Carter supposedly did, would it be forgiven? Okay, just like that? Because really, I think whether it's a single threat or a chain of threats is a lot worse than being a little bit too passionate about a case. Granted, maybe both forms can still harm a case in some way, but still, the threats seems like there's more of a nasty intent behind it. If people honestly say that Justin Roy has the heart in the right places, but just a bit too full on at times, as quoted by certain family members, then it's not done purely with evil intent, but on the other hand, with threats, threatening comments, messages, call-outs, insults, that is done with more intent in the moment or longer term. That's worse. And I wouldn't say they've exactly been called out the same way. Now, could any of these people that have sent out threatening messages or text, could they be punished by law, or does that not happen, or is it just forgiven and forgotten? Because I look at it long term. If just a person or a small group were responsible and the majority of others, supporters that looked over them, defended them, were completely in denial or completely unaware that that was the case, and then were shocked at the outcome as to what's happened, and they couldn't process it, I was all forgiven and you just all move on. Because I don't like the idea of being in the presence of people that constantly issue out threats and warnings. Oh, it can all be wiped and erased just because it was resolved a case, so we can all move on in the same boat. No, we can't. Fuck that shit, right? When it came to the Dylan Rounds case, people at each other's throats, a handful of people attacking me, questioning me, discrediting me, some slanderous claims made, etc., etc. Not good, not positive whatsoever. Both viewers and certain creators coming after me in unnecessary ways and whatnot. And then at the end of the day, when the Dylan Rounds case was solved, people were like, yeah, we were all thinking the same way. We all wanted justice. We were all trying to keep the case alive. Cut that shit. Get a grip. There was a handful of people that were problematic in the case, but we can all put ourselves in the same boat now and group ourselves together. No, we're nothing like the same. Those wretched humans are completely different, much lower standards in certain ways. Peasant-like mentality with their, whether it be manipulation or egocentric, impetuous thoughts, right? Peasant-like mentality is a new term phrase used by warlike Raf, so just take that into consideration. It's not the measure of one's physical wealth, but more so the wealth and knowledge of a person's mind, and that can just simply come down to common sense. Simply just having common sense is good enough. Simply being able to listen in or be patient is good enough. But there might be a lot of people out there, intelligent or somewhat intelligent, that lack those areas and can be a bit toxic. That's what I call a peasant-like mentality. So that's a new term by warlike Raf. Feel free to note it down if you want. You can quote it, you can reference it in the future if needed, because I think it's quite an important term, like with those other terms I used in the past as descriptions with predictions. Don't really need to do that right now because there's not much to predict in the moment. The only question that remains unanswered is what happens after the 1 year anniversary? Are things still tense or does it settle down a little bit? We'll see. And we'll also see how many times that I lick my lips in this video, because I do have a bit of a dry mouth because I'm doing a lot of talking. And if anyone wants it sped up, you can always adjust the speed of the video. See, there's everything to cater for everyone, but not everybody looks, do they? As we've seen recently, which is kind of funny. But as for the threats situation, what type of threats have Madison Rawlings and the family encountered, and who by exactly? It doesn't seem to be Justin Roy. Is it anyone on the army page? Are the negative or once negative hateful comments, which are no longer there, were they considered as threats or just negativity? I mean, we've seen threatening comments and messages, maybe not directed towards me, but directed towards other members of the general public, where someone was called out by Stevie Hyde saying, "You're next." And then another person who was messaging Stephanie Millan on Snapchat for answers about the party, Colton Newton, brother to Jack, said, "Stop talking to Stephanie. If you continue, I'm going to come after you." Not exactly positive. Then another member of the general public that was told by Carter Combs in a private DM, "I'm going to beat the beep out of you." That's welcoming language, not exactly appropriate. And then if you wanted to interpret it as a threat, Jack Newton saying to Caden Pressey some weeks ago, "I thought I'd ask you before I get upset." People saw that as some kind of threat. So there's a handful of them, but as have you seen the pattern? It's more so by those either within the case or connected to people who are within the case. In terms of members of the general public, just members of the general public, how many of them have been responsible for threatening messages, as for the family being on the receiving end of that? And what type of threats? Death threats, threats of "you better keep quiet," or "we're coming after you," or "we're going to visit you," or something? Is it attempts to scare people off, to push people away? Do these threats only come in when you get too close to the truth, or were they around since day one? See, this is the thing. Madison Rawlings worded it as, "We're getting threats because our family member, our loved one, Noah, died." That's not why you're getting threats. You will receive threats for the death of someone if people think that you're responsible for the death of the person, right? It's like vigilantes fighting back. But that doesn't apply here, because I've not really seen any skepticism or much questioning behind the family being responsible behind it all. So the main way of looking at it, the obvious way, is the reason why, such as the family are receiving threats for Noah's death, is because the family are pushing for answers in different ways, reaching out for help, wanting justice, questioning online, creating posts, spreading awareness and all of that. Keep on fighting, keep on pushing for the truth. You can arguably say that a way of measuring how much effort and how much care you put into a case is measured by the amount of threats and criticism you receive along the way. If you start being threatened, there's a chance that you've struck a nerve with someone, you've got close to the possible truth, and now people are coming towards you and pushing back, possibly because you're getting too close. You will always get people in the background that may troll or mess about because they think it's funny or it's a prank, but not the same way to directly threaten. If the threats are quite negative and it seems like there's a level of intent behind it, then there's a stronger reason to be doing it. Saw it in the Dylan Rounds case to an extent, maybe not so much with me, but other people searching about for answers. The Kenny Veach case was a very good example of threats and all kinds of weird messages and harassment. People that felt threatened by my presence, threatened by my consistency, my depth, my stamina. You know, maybe I have more stamina than a field of horses, and maybe the horses get jealous. Maybe the fifth leg gets jealous of the situation. They can't quite size up to me. I'm sorry, it is what it is. But nevertheless, that's my take on it. So I think Madison Rawlings worded it somewhat incorrectly, that the threats are because of you engaging within the case, and those issuing the threats don't want the truth to come out. And that would highlight more likely a form of foul play then, because any form of resistance or pushback, whether it be from those that claim to care about the case and want justice in the background, or another set of people that are doing it for other reasons, there's a bit of conflict. There shouldn't be any resistance. If everyone is innocent and no one's responsible because somehow it's accidental or somehow it's a completely other person, different individual, complete stranger which no one has ever heard or seen of before, everyone should be on the same page, but they're not. Is that just through simple disagreements? No, much deeper than that. If someone like Caden Pressey can simply give his side of the story and get attacked for it by other witnesses or friends of those witnesses, says a lot, doesn't it? People should be allowed to share their thoughts, what they can remember, what they know of. And if you get attacked for that, then maybe it's because it's more than disagreeing with it, but more so because people don't like the idea of where it's going, because it could well be heading in the correct direction. So you can measure the threats with what the family's received by the family putting in effort and time to care for Noah and to keep on moving forwards. My question is, because I've never really asked it, has Justin Roy been threatened, and how many times? If Justin Roy wants to answer, you can leave a comment down below or elsewhere. And as for viewers in general, people that watch my videos, people that are lurking in the background, how many of you have been threatened by whoever in this case? And why were you threatened? What were you doing to yield that type of response from people? That'd be interesting to know. Now, let's move on to the next thing, where Madison talks about Robyn and Ashley, that they don't take control. Now, that wasn't directly in the words of what Madison said, but that's what it's coming across as, that basically, whilst Robyn and Ashley are kind of like working on the case in the community, they're not the only ones, they're not doing it independently, they're working alongside with the rest of the Presgrove family. That's what Madison said, the sister herself, I guess as a witness. We've seen in recent time where people have suggested Robyn and Ashley taking matters into their own hand, getting power hungry, taking too much control, abusing power. But from what Madison Rawlings said, that's not the case. They're all working alongside one another and cooperating just fine. Interesting. Madison also acknowledged that it does take a group of people, such as the family, to do a podcast or articles or magazines. Maybe that's because it's something that they're not used to doing, that not one individual can speak about everything. It takes a handful to remember all the different points and key messages to put across. I get that. It also comes down to experience as well. Like, if you're used to doing podcast, then it should come across as a bit easier to do and more time efficient. You've got a higher chance of being able to conduct it just by yourself. Now, normally podcasts tend to be one and another individual, if not more, maybe a group, where they sit around a table with an oversized microphone to fit the size of their ego, with a giant headset to cover their ears. That's just me being a bit sarcastic there. That doesn't apply to everyone, in case you get your thoughts twisted or pants in a twist or get wet, whatever it may be. I stay dry, all under control here. Well, actually, no, that can't be true, because when I did a reconstruction of the case, I did wet myself, if you remember. And that was in a controlled environment where I got water and I poured it over me and the shorts got soaked. But that was when talking about the Jasmine Milan situation with the wet shirt. Was that before or after the shower situation? If you would like to catch up on that as a reference point, it is on my channel, all documented, all there. I thought I'd just throw that in. But just wanted to mention that when it comes to articles or magazines, I guess an interview, but to be honest, if you want to include that Fox News interview, what we saw at the start of this video, that clip, that seemed to be conducted just by herself. So Madison did a good job there. And in a way, maybe Madison Rawlings in general did a good job with her recent videos, talking somewhat calmly, no real attacks made, understandable language wording, a form of clarity for most part of it at least, so no issues there in my opinion. Unless you see it differently, let me know down below. I think as well, the mention of taking a group of people to do this and that shows the cooperation with one another, the collective nature of people, not rogue agents or anything like that. Madison also said that the decisions are passed through 2 other family members besides Robyn and Ashley when it comes to, should we do this, should we do that, should we do a podcast, or should we talk about this, when should we post that, when should we, just all the decisions, which is obviously a good thing. The more people involved in it, it's not as controlling, and it gives others a chance to think, is it the best time to do it or not? And this is all coming from what Madison Rawlings says. So, different individual, besides the likes of Robyn and Ashley, on side defending them. Okay. What was also mentioned was Robyn and Ashley, they don't have access to the GoFundMe money. Now, I haven't got too much to say about that, but maybe a handful of other people will. All I will say is, for example, Robyn Smith, the aunt, because she was the one that brought it up. Besides Ashley, if it's true that Madison Rawlings says, for example, Robyn Smith doesn't have access to the GoFundMe money, then how is Robyn able to issue a full refund of $7,000 or $8,000 to that said individual that donated it in the first place as an anonymous donator? If you don't have access to that money, how can you give it back, right? And if it was along the lines of, well, we can't access the GoFundMe money, but we do have that amount of money laying about, either out of one's own pocket or from someone else, we'll give it back that way. But how do you give it back? If it's outside of GoFundMe, how would you give it back? And how do you issue a refund? Through PayPal? But there's a transaction fee. Venmo, Cash App, I don't know what the transaction fee is there. So if you was to issue somebody a refund indirectly through other services, you'd probably be paying some kind of transaction fee, and if there's any tax, so you wouldn't be getting the full amount back anyway. So you'd have to actually give back more than before, if that makes sense. Whereas when it comes to certain services, and like with GoFundMe, I guess there might be some kind of refund option. I wouldn't know, because I've not done GoFundMe myself, and I probably never will do, because it doesn't seem right. I see GoFundMe as a place where, not in a negative way, but desperate times, desperate measures, in the moment, a struggling situation, a bad time, a bad event, serious matters, a lack of, or a feeling of hopelessness. Now, some people have got channels on YouTube and say, I'm going to start a GoFundMe so you can buy me a new camera and a new item like this and that. I don't think that's the right place to be doing it in the first place. You'd probably have better chances at the current platforms or what's available on YouTube, or a side thing like PayPal. Anything that's given can be put here or there and then go towards something in the future. And I'll give you an example right now, just for that clarity. So for the last few months or so, I just highlighted that when it comes to people supporting this channel, whether that be super chats, super stickers, memberships, gifted memberships, and even PayPal in the background, that as that accumulates to whatever extent with time up until coming about now, I don't know what day, give or take some time, the release of the iPhone 16, an item, a device which can be used to record videos. Just so happens that nearly every video that you see on my channel is from a phone, but this phone is becoming outdated. So being able to have a form of access or a chance to put a form of support towards an upgrade, a device, to then be able to continue with the videos and maybe do other things in between, and even photos as well, like some people like the photography, things like that. an upgrade, point it towards something. If that was through a GoFundMe, it sounds more like a cry for help, a cry out of desperation in a way. It's just not the right place. The general theme of GoFundMe is a bad, serious time where people are greatly impacted. Now, as for me, I wouldn't say I'm in that situation, so there'd be no need to do a GoFundMe, but other people may use it in the wrong way. Whereas there's other platforms to do it in more appropriate ways, if that makes sense. I mean, it's kind of unrelated. I might even do a post on my channel. But does anyone know why people have Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Cash Me Outside, MooPal, PayPig, and whatever else in between? Why do people have so many of those accounts? Is there a reason to distribute the money out, spread it out? Or because they feel that other people that may give may only have certain accounts? They may not have PayPal, but they might have Cash App. So if you just have all the different services on your channel or wherever, people can give in different places. I think that's too messy though, because it's just all over the place trying to handle it all. If you just have one collective place or second one, it just seems more manageable. But does anyone know really why people have multiple different accounts and services and things like that? And can anyone explain as to why you get these accounts on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube of people that may or may not have a certain username or profile picture of a female, whether it's themselves or somebody else, and yet they've got a link saying PayPal me, give me money, give me this, give me that, and they've got no content on their channel? Why should they get anything when they're not giving in the first place or providing anything? And I'm not always talking about providing a dodgy service, not quite like that, but it could still apply. But why do you get these default channels or pages where they've got these links of support me, but they're not even supporting anyone in the first place? They're not even providing anyone with any material or anything at all. And I don't get that. It just seems a bit random. But anyway, kind of drifting off a little bit. But to link back specifically to the Robyn situation of, well, if you think that we're so ungrateful, you can have the money back. You know, might as well try and get rid of all these issues. If you're only giving in the first place in hopes of getting a reaction or a response back, then you're not doing it out of the goodness of your own heart. But when you give, you shouldn't expect to receive at the same time. And some people did say, well, no, you should get some kind of acknowledgement at the end of the day. It's like if someone in the live chat suddenly gifted a $50, $100 super chat, of course, it's worthwhile to respond back and show acknowledgement, because if you don't, it could come across as being rude. But there are exceptions you got to understand, because with the situation here, in the Presgrove case, the person that donated the money was anonymous. You don't know their name or their identity. How can you acknowledge them? How can you reach out and message them? Unless the donator did privately and was ignored, then you could say that's problematic, but I didn't hear that side of the story. All Robyn said was, yeah, here's the money donated, but it says anonymous. So how can we thank the person? I understand that. Whereas on YouTube, regardless of username, if someone gives a 50, it doesn't matter what value, any value is positive, but just as an example to like really reinforce it, if someone gave a 50 or 100 or a $500 super chat or super sticker, you'll see it flash on the screen. It's bright, it's clear, it really does stand out, and it can be a bit of a jump scare at times because you're not expecting it. You know, it's worthwhile. I think it's quite necessary in acknowledging the person that showed that support in the first place, and whatever username they may have, just read out and say shout out to this person or thank you, and do whatever that's needed from there on. It's not that difficult. The other exception is in the moment you might not see it. Whilst yes, I do attend nearly 99.9% of my own live premieres, what I do want to say as a heads up, if anyone does support this channel, specifically on YouTube, and if I don't respond back immediately, I'll definitely make sure to do so a day or two later. Because like, if I'm not around during a live premiere, obviously I'm not going to see super chats and stuff like that. But if I look back at it the next day or the day after, then I will obviously notice and then show appreciation or whatever. It's just as a heads up in case anyone feels like they've been ignored or feels like, oh, how rude, you didn't acknowledge me. It's because can't always see what's on the screen. It's like sometime in the past where I just walked away from the screen for like 5 or 10 minutes. I came back to the chat and I had to scroll up, and then I saw a super chat or super sticker. So I didn't show like a live reaction in the moment because I wasn't there to watch. So there's that. And you know what the most annoying thing is with YouTube? You don't get notifications most of the time if someone does give a super chat or a super sticker. There was a time where it was like a week late where I went on to comment section, I clicked on filter, super chats, and then there was one, like a $2 super chat. I did respond back in the end, but it took 1 week because I wasn't notified about it. So if I'm not notified at times, because I'm not around in the moment to see it, if I'm not notified, then I'll never know. And that sounds a bit silly, but that's YouTube. So just take that into consideration as well. No one's questioned me yet, but I thought I'd just mention it now so no one gets the wrong idea. Anyway, that's an interesting what Madison was talking about there. Was there anything else? The last bit, people telling the family how to grieve and what they should and shouldn't do. Maybe that's what comes from the string of certain posts by some people in recent time critiquing the family. I think I saw a comment by Vanessa Salazar that was just simply saying what they're going to do to honour, to show respect to Noah. That was it. So nothing wrong with that from what I'm aware of. Shout out to Vanessa Salazar just for answering a question recently, because with the profile pictures, I saw a person that looked the exact same as on Facebook. It is the same person, just with a different name. So I appreciate that to Vanessa for clearing that up. Just makes it a bit easier. Sometimes I'm cautious only because from the Dylan Brown's case, there was a handful of people that had fake accounts or impersonating others. So that's why I'm just more careful now. People can what do you call it? Like mirror others at times, imitate. Surprisingly, it's not happened yet in this case. Hallelujah. And because I just said that in a positive way, I'm probably going to get punished for being positive, and there probably will be some fakeness with time, which is just my luck, but what can you do about it? You can't. But in terms of the mocking factor, it's just been a bit different this time around, but maybe because the target had been over other people's heads. Yeah, I might be really the only YouTuber out there covering the case, but maybe I'm not the biggest threat in some people's eyes. Or maybe people who got bored when they tried to silence me and it didn't work, so they realised not much we can do about it, we'll just focus on attacking other people. Would you say there's been any division? Anyone in between, strangers or not, those within the case, getting in between family members and members of the general public, whispering in one person's ear, then in the other, and saying something completely different? Divide and conquer. It happened in the Dylan Rounds case, one of the main factors for communities imploding on itself and trust issues forming. Will it happen here? Or are we in the process of it slowly between the Justice and Army page? I wonder. Is there anyone else in between in the background? An informant, a spy, a disruptor, whispering in people's ears? Worth taking into consideration. Anyway, that aside, I guess we can have a brief look at certain comments. But then again, I'll be honest with you, I think it drifts away from the main part of this video. Maybe I'll leave it as it is because it's suitable length already, this. I wasn't expecting this video to go as long as it did, but there was a lot of talking points, and with the limited notes, as you can see, just simple bullet points, it was pretty simple like that. I think all I'll finish it on is just one little voice and accent distance ourselves from the case just for a second, just so people are very clear. I just wanted to acknowledge one thing. When humans question whether it be my pronunciation or if it more so down to the accents and the accuracy of it, don't worry, it's all under control here. Because if it's not under control, I'll try and make it that way. So, just so no one gets the wrong idea, what I do want to say is, and it's actually quite important because it's a valid point to be made, y'all, regardless of how you say it, y'all, yeah. Hey guys, don't know what y'all are doing round here, boy. Sound a bit more appropriate, yeah. At the end of the day, y'all is you all. Was, I guess, proper English. Now, I wonder if I said you all, would people get triggered over that? I wonder. But the interesting thing about it is, whether it provides in the same language or so, but the pronunciation of it, you can't escape from it. There are certain words and terms within this world where when you pronounce it, even in your own accent, it can still come across as the accent from that said country. Look at French wine. Now, I can't think of any on the spot because I don't really drink alcohol, but you get those bottles of wine, maybe from France, you read it out, you'll start sounding like you're doing a French accent. There's no escape about it. I've seen videos online where people were joking about saying, say that name, that brand of wine in your own accent, English accent, and the way they pronounce it, it still sounds French because of how it's worded and if there's any accents. You know, there's no escaping it, just like you all, but what do you call it, abbreviated or cut down to y'all. I don't know what y'all are doing. That was me trying to say it in a normal accent. It still sounds American. Now, if I say what y'all are doing, yeah, that's probably extended and exaggerated. But let me tell you something as a fact. And yes, this may come across as me being a naughty boy, but when am I not? Ooh, excuse me. No need for that. But no, I've seen it with my own eyes and my own ears, and there are of a decent size as well. I've seen people from America, a handful, many with time, when I've looked at many videos online, cases, news shows on TV, and they say, y'all, I had enough of y'all bullshit, man. Go off and play with your bamboo. I've seen it said like that. And then other people will say, hey, y'all, you need to get out my town, boy. Yeah, deeper voice, maybe what a male would say. And some in between that say, I don't know what y'all are doing today. We need to go to the bar. You know, I've seen it worded, said different ways by different people from the same bloody country. So I actually think that, do you like when we talk about threats where you get too close to the truth, where people show a bit of resistance, grinding with the gears, tension and friction? I think certain people from America may feel threatened by my presence, not because I'm the next president of the United States. That's another story. But more so that maybe people feel threatened that they can't comprehend that an individual from a completely different country can do somewhat of a decent accent what they do. Look, it goes deeper, believe me, psychologically. Not done in a negative way, but the imitation of somebody. When you're dealing with a narcissist, and it's all documented on my channel, you check my channel out, How to Deal with a Narcissist, you will find it, believe me. And I was basically getting at how when you imitate somebody, especially a narcissist, you actually break them down in such a way that they've never felt before, because they feel that they're God, that they like themselves, that they're really focused on themselves, that they're unique, no one can match them. But if you can imitate them through their voice, their body language, their mannerisms, if not all together, you're taking that uniqueness away from them, so their mind becomes discombobulated, and that slow, dark reality kicks on in, that they're not that special, that their voice isn't as unique as you think, because there's other people that can imitate it and recreate it. So there's a small chance that the resistance by certain humans out there when I say, hey, y'all, or y'all, what you want to do today, man? People are going to start thinking, oh my God, he's more American than me. Warlike Ref, the all-American in the name of we the people. Exactly. What's this? Biker boy Ref? Rev it up! Come on! I don't know what's going on. But this is what I mean. Maybe what humans are really trying to do is awaken God-like Ref. What's that all about? Well, it's where the quality steps up, the intensity steps up, the depth, the frequency, the boldness, all kinds of factors creep on in. If people thought the slight country accent was a bit cringy and a bit, ew, oh my God, Raf, how could you say that? I'm sorry. It's such a shame, home girl, but we all get there with a little TLC. Some people need it more than others. And that's not my problem, okay? Yeah, that's not my problem. Oh my God. Stop. Don't be doing that to me. It's just not right. No. So, all different types of voices. The most accurate one. And take in mind, I'm doing this at the end of this video, so don't worry. We've moved away from the case. This is Warlike Ref, separate video, in case you're wondering. No more Noah Presgrove after this. We've done the main part. You can always rewind back if you want. Just wanted to give you a heads up there, just in case anyone thought I was taking this away from the seriousness of Noah Presgrove. Important case, important time. But as for this discussion, we've completed it for now. We'll see what happens next, of course. But let me just do my little voice, okay? Because people do actually like it. This is probably the worst time to be doing it because after an hour of talking, I've got a dry throat, so it's not going to sound as good. But let me tell you something, boy. Lerny, you thought that I didn't know how to do this voice? Well, you're wrong. It's all right. Don't worry. See, all these people think that I cannot do a goddamn voice. Boy, you ain't got no clue. Where are you, boy? Where are you? I've been waiting a long time. In the goddamn saloon. I don't know what y'all are doing. I'm riding a goddamn horse. Mister, I don't see you riding one. Where are you? Where? I don't know. Don't matter no more. Maybe I'll drink a little bit and boy, I'm starting to sound real drunk. Oh, I don't know no more. My name's Arthur Morgan. Arthur Morgan. Ready to handle a horse any day of the week, mister. But you can't handle a goddamn horse no more. Boy, you got a lot of learning to do. And if you don't learn no more, then you ain't gonna know the truth, man. You don't come from the same blood where I come from. You don't come from the hood. You don't know what it's like. You cannot handle the truth. You want to come by, do a drive-by, you want to shoot me up. You don't know what you deserve. You want a haircut, you don't deserve one. You gotta go through the ranks, you gotta grind hard. You don't know what it takes to grind. You don't know what effort is like. You gotta put in hard work, time, and consistency. You'll get there eventually, but you don't know what it's like, fool. You ain't me. You will never be me. You got no clue. Oh my God, I am back after a long trek, hanging out with the girls. My God, times like this, it's real hectic. My God. You know, sometimes I sound like a door. I need oiling up. My God, Daddy, not like that. No. You know, where are the other Valley girls? Valley girls, where are you at? You know, I really need some support. Yeah, I need some support right now. You know, it's all about me. Oh my God. Yeah, it's all about me. Me. My time's more important than yours. What are you gonna do about it? I didn't think so. But next time, joining us on Top 5. As you know, I like to cover mysteries every day of the week. I don't know if you're aware, but Top 15 is around the corner. Join us next time as we see all kinds of paranormal activities. Who knows what is around the corner? You never know. Recently, on CCTV camera, we saw Tracy driving down a road. nearly ended up doing a 360-degree spin. Moments like that would be caught on camera, but people would never believe it. So make sure to join us next time as we go full on in depth and analyze what's really going on. My God, what the hell's going on, mister? You thought that when I try and do a voice like this, you think y'all don't know what I'm doing? Y'all have got no clue. You think I like to fondle the goddamn bamboo? I got a lot more in me to do that, mister. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that what you're crazy? I'm sorry. I've been a little bit busy with my lawnmower. Oh, and driving down the road, escaping the police. My God, what, you're crazy? You're a bit of a nutty individual, aren't you, misty? God damn it, golly God, you got a lot of learning to do, man. Boy, you don't know what you're gonna do. You're getting my feet, I'm gonna whip you in the bam. There we go. See? It's just a little showcase. It doesn't take much effort. So maybe I've gone around the world, or at least around a couple of states in a matter of seconds. But that's how it goes. That's how we transition. That is how we transition. You do not understand what it takes. You see, in my country, we do things differently. You misbehave, you will be punished. You misbehave, you will be whipped. There are consequences. My name is Trevor. I have lost my visa. Can somebody show me the way? Show me the way. I got an aneurysm in my head. I'm about to explode. I am really a lost soul. I really need some guidance. I need some guidance. I am really struggling right now. But you know what? When I get the whip, I feel a lot better. My voice drops, and so do many other things. I can see you're hiding behind the screen. But you don't need to worry. When you come to Uganda, we got a whole range of bananas ready, fresh and ripe. But be quick to eat banana, or the gorilla will come on in. And we do not want that. Where is Idi Amin? Where is Idi Amin Odada? You come back to Uganda. You make the country great again. If you do not, we are going to fund. We are going downhill. We are sinking like a ship. This is not good. I am disappointed. I am disappointed in your family. I am disappointed in your behavior. You need to go back to school. You need to learn. Sit down. You need to learn. See, this is what I mean. 15, 16 accents, and we haven't even got through half of them. Long time no see. Maybe next time we get a pork bun, you'll become a home man. 一套戏，你套话，精通不呀？行动啊，很呀嘛？Master Samurai, did you just forget that warlike Raph does not understand how to talk? Don't worry, you think that warlike Raph talks very slow, but when I do Japanese accent, I talk very fast. Just like my Wikipedia web basket. Oh, long time no see, man. You need a 19p Wiki basket out. Say you want red rice. When that's red rice. You want some rice? I'll see you some rice. Very good. Long time no see. You want to cut the grass? I'll do what? You go away. You got to fix that. There we go. It's that fast that I can't even comprehend what I'm saying. It's a good thing that I'm not face to face with anyone, but they probably have to be wiping their face with all the spit that's going out everywhere. But that's just the tip of the icing, Sharon. There's a lot more to come. If you wait, who knows what will happen next. You know what? I actually agree with that. You know, we can go from country to country and all kinds of things can happen. But that's just what goes on. You know, you want to run about and go into the swamp. What do you think's going to happen? You're going to get out of the way, donkey. Get out of my swamp. See? You know, that was fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. I might sound like I'm over the Simpsons. But you know, thank you. Good day. Have a good day. Namaste. Order. Very, very naughty boy you are, Waragvash. How could you be doing that? You desperately attempted to manipulate the algorithm from YouTube. We've got a herd population on India that would come on in and watch Waragvash. Fantastic numbers, fantastic voice. You know, there's been times where people have said to me that I can do a proper accent better than you. So, Juro, you got the road on a good throat. You don't need to worry about anything. You may be in a hurry, but you're not hungry enough to have a curry. Or, that is very bad. Yes, this is very bad. Je m'appelle. let's leave it there for now. More to give, more to offer, but just not enough time. Why is there not enough time? Maybe we'll find out in the next chapter of 50 Shades of Wrath. It just so happens that the shades haven't quite got dark enough. But if people push and push and push, you never know what may happen. They say good things come to those who wait. But what if you wait around long enough, what will happen then? Ooh. Now is that doctor's door knocking any time? I suppose the glass hasn't broken on in by the amount of people knocking on the door, as we've seen. All the patients have come and gone, happy customers at the end of the day. See, it's all under control here. But I don't think other people do.
Boy, you got that damn right, mister. I just warmed up my voice. Mr. Morgan, Lenny, where are you? All right, I'm gonna go right now. It just so happened at the very end I can do the voice right now. I'm long gonna people rolling their eyes right now. Oh, I'm sorry, I can do a better accent than you can.
But you know what comes with so many different voices? I turn into a tomato. Oh my God, has Warlight Ref activated a new filter? No, it's just my blood pressure and the blood rising to the surface of my skin. Was that a problem? No, it's because I'm fresh. And not in that way. You probably get some creepy people now that get obsessed with that. Oh my God, Warlight Ref's fresh. Oh my God. So, I mainly do that just because of the facial expressions. They do change in many different ways. And if I was to show my facial expressions when doing it, it would only give the whingers and whiners ammunition to complain in other ways too. Anyway, there you go. So much more. So, if you want to share the video, I'm just going to say a certain line right now because I've seen other people say it. Supposedly, if you say a certain line, the bar where the like button is will glow. So if anyone's watching this video right now, just look at the like to dislike bar, the button. I just want to see if it glows in a couple of seconds. I think you've got to say something like, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure to smash that like button. Smash that like button right now. I don't know if it worked or not. I don't like using that language and wording because most people say it, but I just normally say, feel free to like and share the video, but maybe that's not the correct wording. I just wanted to try it out, for a laugh to see if it really does work because I've seen bigger YouTube channels where it's happened, but I don't know if that's just a coincidence. But then again, I saw a video just recently, or is it 2,000, 3,000 subscribers, and it did work for them. So maybe there's like a little hidden Easter egg within YouTube. Just let me know if you saw it glow when I said make sure to smash the like button. I don't know if there's like a limit of how many times you can say it or not, but just a little experiment. Anyway, of course, September 4th anniversary of Noah Presgrove, in all seriousness. Hopefully you've found this video of some interest and use. If you are going to share this video onto Facebook or maybe elsewhere, just be aware that supposedly there is like a 1-day silence on these different pages elsewhere where they're honouring Noah Presgrove, so they're not going to be publishing or moderating or approving post. So there could be a delay. So if you feel like sharing this video and it doesn't get approved, don't think that you're getting silenced. It's probably because people are taking a break from Facebook and Reddit, or just Facebook when it comes to the moment of silence for a day or two of Noah. Just give that as a heads up. But that aside, I think pretty good video all in all. Managed to collect all the thoughts and with strong, appropriate language and wording. Once you get a grasp of that, it does become a little bit easier and not as troublesome. And when you do get the waves of cancer, what can they do? They can't do as much. So let's leave it there for now. I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.